Hey, it's We Were Gamers, episode 3. We made it back for a third time.
I mean, at some point, it's just going to be assumed we're going to make it back, right?
I think so. I would hope that, let's say by episode 5, people assume we're going to make it back for another time.
Okay, yeah, sure.
But until then, maybe they need a little reassurance that we're going to keep doing this we record on Mondays, but they don't hear it till Wednesdays.
We're going to keep doing this at least for a little while.
Gosh, I really like it. I'm telling you, I get excited.
Yeah?
Yeah. Like this afternoon when you and I had a discussion about what we might want to talk about. And they're brief. We don't really do any preparation, but each week we kind of like, hey, do you want to talk about X, Y, or Z? Or
yeah.
I get excited to hear. I don't know why. It's not like we're going to not talk anyway, but like, I don't know. It's like, oh gosh, I get to hear his opinion about X.
You're tantalizing the people, Andrew.
Oh. Well, I hope not, because this is a drab topic.
No. Let's tantalize them some more. This is We Were Gamers, right? It's a podcast?
It is a podcast. It's a podcast about two friends. I'm Andy, or Andrew. That's JJ. And we were gamers in the past. Hardcore gamers, I would say. We put some time into some games. Played a lot of different stuff. Board games, miniature tabletop games, video games, card games. Anything you could imagine. We put time into it, and a lot of it.
Lots of games.
And now we don't have that time anymore. So we decided to start a podcast where we talked about these things so that we could keep doing them.
It's definitely been a nice way to sort of catch up with each other, and then also just to, shoot the breeze about various topics that happen to come up in our lives,
Exactly. Yeah. It's not a review show. It's not an informational show per se, because man, do we get some stuff wrong sometimes.
Yeah.
But,
no one should trust our opinion.
Oh yeah, you really shouldn't, nor should you trust our opinion. It's absolutely right. Because it doesn't really matter what we say, but we'll put our opinion out there anyway.
Yeah.
Well, JJ, should we just address the elephant in the room already?
Let's address the elephant in the room, Andrew.
I screwed up this week.
Did you, though?
I did. Well, okay, I'll lay it out. I screwed up, I think, because I did something that I literally have never done before. Not once.
Never, though?
Okay, you're right. I should never say never in a podcast.
Yeah.
I thank you for the reminder.
I don't know. I think this is a big one that happened, I guess.
It turned into a big one.
Yeah.
I posted about a show. I posted what I thought was a vague reference to something that, and just to get this out early, this is not going to be a spoiler-filled discussion. You don't have to turn it off.
It's worth saying that what you did was you spoiled someone, or they said that you did.
Someone said that I did. But in case you need it, JJ, maybe we should have a safe word. Like, Mowgli's a human. Like, that could be our example spoiler.
Okay, sure.
Like, if you need one. As a reference point, right? So.
Gotcha.
So in this instance, I was watching a show about Mowgli, and the way that they told me he was human, I thought that this thing was dark, and it was horrible, and it was heartbreaking, and it was beautiful, and it was heroic, and it was perfectly executed, and it just left me haunted and lonely. And in the last years and years and years, I cannot remember an instance of a show or a movie or something leaving me so emotional about what had just happened. And in an effort to express myself, I turned to social media, which was a major step in the wrong direction to start with. But I tried. I really, really tried. I spent about half an hour trying to figure out how to say something about this instance of Mowgli being human, that would connect to people out there that I know that had seen it, and also not spoil anything at any given moment of time.
Mm-hmm.
This was a mistake because I didn't factor in that someone else somewhere could come up with some other random reference, and people who are friends with both of us could maybe piece it together. right? So they took what I said, they took what somebody else said, and they took what they read on the internet. They put all those things together, and it ended up spoiling the show for them.
Okay. Well, I think I have a lot of things to say about spoilers and sort of spoiler culture in general.
What do you mean by spoiler culture?
I think there is, at least maybe in some parts of the internet, I don't know if everywhere is like this, I think there are a lot of people who feel it's their right not to be spoiled about something, or not to have something ruined for them. I don't think that is a right. It's something that friends should do for friends. It's something that nice people will do for you, but you don't have some kind of divine right not to be spoiled about things from random strangers on the internet. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, I see what you're saying. But in this instance, we're talking about me having posted to Facebook and my friend having seen it.
Sure.
Right? And I would never, if I were in a room with you or anyone else, make a vague reference to your face and then just stare at you, right? Like, it wasn't directed at this particular person. It was directed, and I can give you an example. It was directed to the moment, right? It was directed to needing to connect with friends or people in the moment of this thing. And one person even responded to it that I had no idea watched this show.
Mm-hmm.
And like, just, I could feel sad in that instance with someone I wasn't in the room with, wasn't even knowing that I should ever talk about this with. And in the future, now I know I could talk about that show with this person.
Mm-hmm. So it's a zeitgeist thing.
500,000 people posting about this thing on Twitter alone, right? You know? And if they're really, this is the place for that sort of thing. Twitter, for sure, is the place for that sort of thing, and some place that should be avoided.
I can go ahead and just say all social media. I think if you are a person who is very sensitive to those kinds of topics, you know, it comes down to yes, it's nice if your friends don't do this to you or don't do these sort of spoilery things to you on purpose. Your friends aren't jerks, hopefully. But people have to exercise some level of self-control, and if they can't, then this is going to happen to them, and that's the consequence.
Well, I see people posting ranges of things every week about shows, all shows, every show, and goes from things like, you know, directly, Mowgli is human, OMG, to, you know, the most vague reference you can come up with about, oh man, I was about to mix metaphors. I was going to say blank is a Cylon, but that doesn't really work.
I mean, you know,
somebody says blank is a Cylon, and then somebody else puts out Mowgli ! And you're like, well, I guess Mowgli's a Cylon.
Sure. I mean, that's why I say people shouldn't go on social media, right? Because it's too easy for humans to connect those dots.
Yeah, I guess I didn't think when I was putting that out there about somebody else connecting dots to my thing. I feel epically bad about it because you want to not help people chase the rabbit, I guess, right?
Yeah, I don't typically post about TV and shows that I watch, not only because I don't want to spoil things for people. In fact, I personally don't care that much about spoilers. I don't post about it because it doesn't create interesting discussion 95% of the time, right? It's like, oh, I saw this thing, how cool. Everyone will reply with, yeah. That's the discussion. That's not interesting. If I want to have a discussion about a topic, it's much better to do that, have that discussion with people in person. Give them a call, send a text message, that kind of stuff where you can, or I don't know, text messages aren't in person, but where you can have the full range of discussion on terms that both of you can agree to. Whereas social media is not useful for having those kinds of discussions because you just end up with 8,000 people in a room all yelling at each other.
That's an interesting takeaway, but I think something that is important and part of the current culture is people being able to express that they enjoyed something or that they were saddened by something in a group exclamation. I would love to not do it on the internet. I get that that what you're saying, like the deeper connection.
Yeah, that's the solution.
Like with people in the room, etc. is bigger and better. That doesn't work anymore. Like this podcast, no one has time to get together and watch it all together and sit down afterwards and have a root beer and think about it and cry together and all those sorts of things. It just doesn't exist in a modern age for us because we don't have time to game. It's not like we have time to sit on both ends of the phone while we watch a show separately.
It's sometimes Andrew, you don't get to have that discussion instantly after a thing happens, except for the people that were there. You get to talk to, your wife or your significant other or, call your friend, and that's who you get to talk to. That's all there is. Like, what did people do when these sorts of things happened in, 1965? Why now, because we have access to these sorts of things, like social media and stuff, does that force us to use them and experience, the fact that they are wide open to the entire population of the planet and filled with what are almost certainly going to be spoilers?
I mean, you're making the argument, I guess, that you either don't use it at all or you don't post on it at all. So that gets into the main meat of the discussion, right? Is because someone somewhere will spoil it. It doesn't really matter. Like you have to avoid it if you really, really want to. But
yes, it is on the person who has not seen the thing to not seek out information about the thing, right?
Right. But so let's say you're looking at a platform where you've cultivated your friends, etc., and then you use it and someone says something vague and you piece it together. I mean, it's trying to be considerate to do these sorts of things, and also at the same time, it's trying to walk the line. And this is exactly where I ended up and where this discussion started, along with a few other people. And I want to read somebody said. Wow. Ugh.
You got there.
Yeah, I got there eventually. But that's where we start, is like trying to walk the line of consideracy and also still trying to propagate discussion in an open platform. Is it even possible? It doesn't sound like it is based on everybody's.
I sort of think it isn't.
Okay. So one of the people that I want to credit with a quote here is Kareem, and he kind of lands in your camp. And Kareem told me that he understands the frustration. He doesn't sympathize with the frustration of things being spoiled, but he understands it. Before the advent of DVR, on-demand, Thursday night release, or digital pre-order, everyone enjoyed the content at content producers' discretion, not their own. Released on a Monday night, people saw it on Monday night. The very notion of a spoiler is an industry term fabricated by most people's misunderstanding of intent, similar to a hashtag. When people see a movie weeks before the general public, they have a spoiler. When a torrent of a new album drops months before distribution, that's a spoiler. When people discuss the events of a shared experience at and when it's being experienced, it's not a spoiler. So, it's not to say that you shouldn't try to be considerate online. However, it only extends so much. Unfortunately, we have to treat social media like middle school. Play sick and don't go to school if you don't want things ruined.
I think that's a great quote. Wow. I like Kareem, and I like him more now that I have heard that quote from him.
What happens when you tried to be considerate and you just blew it for somebody else? You know what I mean? Like trying to walk that line. It doesn't sound like you or Kareem see that as possible.
Yeah, I mean, I think Kareem's post says everything, right? He's right about, like, people have sort of usurped this word spoiler to sort of mean I have some kind of right to not learn about things before I'm ready to watch them. And that's fine, right? There's no law saying you have to watch things when they first air anymore, or that, which used to not be the case, right? You watched it when it aired or you didn't watch it. That used to be how TV and movies worked. There's no way to see it at other times. And now that everything is on demand and people can watch things whenever they want, this sort of, difficulty of discussion is what comes about. What is the solution to this? I don't think anyone knows. Right? If there was a solution to this, someone would have found it and made $10 million off their app startup idea in Silicon Valley by now.
Do you remember any of your coding?
I mean, yeah, I still work in software, so I know some.
I really think that we have a moneymaker on our hands right now.
No spoilers app.
Yeah. You know what it does?
But it's impossible.
No,
Impossible.
I got it. I've got the
just
perfect
blocks
solution.
the internet?
Yeah, it just completely locks your phone out of any sort of internet access.
And so all it can do is make and receive phone calls. It turns your phone into a phone.
It just literally just turns off your data access.
That's pretty good.
Yep.
I like that idea.
I guess I could close I can wrap up my feelings about it, because you and many other people in this discussion have the same opinion, which is basically, I don't see the need to put this online. I don't see the need to use social media to talk about this sort of thing. And I don't see the need to read social media in between using it and watching the thing, right? I don't use the internet before I watch Mowgli. I literally just, I have the ability to not use it. So unless by force of habit I accidentally open it, I don't do it. I just don't have a need to. I don't care about really what's going on Facebook or Twitter in the meantime, and I don't do it. But thinking about this instance and how I like to behave as a person in general, I wanted to discuss it with you and put out there that it was a screw up, because I feel like, in a way, I never post stuff like that, or at least not in any regular fashion. So I betrayed a trust in a way, you know? Like,
you are allowed to feel bad that you did something that you think hurt your friend, right? That's a valid feeling to have. There's nothing wrong with that. But, I mean, I've run into these situations that you had with your friend about, someone telling you that Mowgli was human, right? And like, at some point, getting angry and like being so, frustrated and mad that you had this great moment spoiled for you, all of that energy just becomes wasted, right? It's like, oh, I'm so mad. I can't unlearn this thing. I wish I could. All this. Like, what? Or you could just be like, oh, darn. And then go watch the thing you were so excited to watch before, and you will still have a good time. Like, knowing information doesn't diminish my enjoyment of the things that I was looking forward to.
I hate to say, like, the best solution is not to use it, because I feel bad for people's feelings, but I think I'm falling into the camp of, you're really your own best keeper when it comes to these things if you care about them.
Yeah. And that's all I'm trying to say, is that, society at large has no issue or has no reason to, cater to your whims. And that sucks. That means you need to stay off the internet. That's what it is. I don't know. We don't want to talk about this anymore. This is too much.
At this point, this is the one where we've either lost everyone or only the people that agree with us are left. So.
Yeah, I'm sure there's like 4 people. Well, there was only 4 people listening before, so we got like 2 to the end.
Yeah,
now.
I think we're down to 2.
Bummer. Thank you to both of you. Thank you.
All right. If Kareem or anybody else would like to tell us how we misinterpreted you or we totally missed one side of this discussion, feel free to reach out. Let us know.
Podcast at... No, wait. What's the email address, Andrew?
podcast@weweregamers.com.
I was so close.
Yeah, you got it. I mean, I'm sure that somebody out there will tell me and you that we are completely and utterly wrong, and I would love to hear why. Dude, let's get away from this. This has been too long of a discussion.
It was interesting, though, I thought.
Yeah, no, it is interesting, but I want to get to the fun part and why people actually listen to people talk about games instead of ruining the internet for others. JJ.
Andrew.
So we have to clarify something from last week.
Uh-huh.
Remember when we were trying to figure out, well, it would take you how many seasons to get the Hadrig's gifts and then upgrade your Diablo 3 character with that class's set, and then the next season and the season after that?
Uh-huh.
And we thought, oh man, hardcore gamers are probably running out of sets already.
Yes, we talked about this.
Yeah, they only do one Hadrig's gift set per season, no matter how many characters you create.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so you knew this.
Yeah.
Well, so you can only get one set per season.
Yeah. That was the whole point, right?
I thought I was implying that you could get like a couple sets per season because, well, what if you made 2 characters?
My point was that you would eventually end up with all the sets on your non-hardcore characters, and then you would just know which class, like, you would never need to get sets again, ever, because you would have all of them already, if you just want to try it.
Because of just playing through the season, you get a lot of set items.
Yeah, and then now your non-class characters have, sets forever.
Okay, well, I'm the only filthy casual here then.
I don't know. I don't like using that word.
Which one?
Filthy casual. Unless you're going to use it as a joke in reference to Dark Souls, then it's pretty good.
Okay.
There's some pretty good meme videos. People should look up The Legend Never Dies on YouTube. It's pretty good.
All right.
It's a great video.
Do you play Cards Against Humanity?
Yeah, sometimes. I like that game.
That's another game that I think that is kind of dying in my repertoire of being an adult and not having time and realizing that I probably shouldn't play it around my child.
I feel like that game comes with a lot of swearing. Not intentionally, but sort of the people doing it end up just swearing just because of the nature of the game.
Yeah.
Although, I don't know, how much could a 1-year-old understand from that game?
I mean, they soak it all up, but...
Yeah, but you can't see me shrugging my shoulders over here, but I'm doing that.
Part 2 of that being, when we do get together and play board games, it's kind of like, well, let's play a real board game, because we only have time for like 2 of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, true.
But I still get emails from them. Okay, we're not gonna talk politics, but did you see?
Yes, I did. I know what you're about to talk about.
The Trump duffel bag.
It looks pretty funny. I thought about ordering one, and then I was like, no, I'm never gonna play this.
I mean, it really reached back into my Hallmark days of like, I have to track down all these Cards Against Humanity cards because they're the best thing ever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you did have a bit of an obsession there for a while.
Yeah, it really did. It was a problem. I chased down at one point all the geeky cards from like packs and stuff that they had released, only the way they hand passed them out and that sort of thing.
They've put all those out as a separate set now.
Luckily, I realized that what I had invested in was ridiculous, and I sold them all for more money than I bought them for.
Oh, okay. Smart.
Before this happened. And now you can buy them all for $10.
I think it's funny that they're leaning into the bit at least, right? Which I guess is what they do, so that's good on them.
Well, I was on the road this week, and I did watch some streams of stuff that I want to talk about, but what did you play this week?
Andrew, I fell back into a hole that I think both of us have been in before, of a game named Civilization 5.
Oh, yes. One more turn.
Yeah, I don't know what brought it upon me, but I decided that I really wanted to play some Civ this weekend.
Was it a Civ 6 trailer that maybe brought it on you?
I did see that trailer, and that trailer looks pretty good. Although I have some, I don't know, Andrew, the artwork, man, I don't know. I looked at that trailer more closely, and it looks like a mobile game. I'm hoping stuff isn't finished. That's my hope. Or that the graphics options make it look not like Clash of Clans.
Yeah, that would really stink, especially coming from Civ 5.
Yeah. So I reinstalled Civ 5. I guess to tell the people, I have all the expansions that have come out since it did. And I think now they're selling them all together for some kind of bundle price that's out there on Steam, like some complete edition or whatever. It probably has DLC that I don't even have.
I think that I have all that as well.
The 2 big ones, though, people got to make sure they get Gods and Kings, the first one, and then Brave New World, the second one. Brave New World, I think, completely changes the game. It makes it so much better, especially in the late game.
Oh, man. Should we have explained how this game works, maybe? I mean, we're like 3 full hours into podcasting and still aren't doing that.
Whatever. Yeah, sure. Yeah, we can talk about it a little bit.
Well, so what JJ is describing is Civilization is a game where you start out as a civilization in the very beginning of human...
It's configurable, but yes, I start at the very beginning of the Stone Age or whatever.
Yeah, the Stone Age, basically when people decided to become societies, and you build up your civilization to the modern age where you try to win the game through diplomacy or through space age travel or becoming the most scientifically advanced, etc. you try to make your civilization the most prosperous in certain ways. And you do that through building cities, conquering the globe, moving your people, armies, settlers, farms, etc. around the globe.
And, you know, the globe is filled with all these other civilizations from other, you know, times and eras. And all of them, you know, come together. They all do different things. Each of them works a little bit differently. But I fell down a hole, Andrew, because I started playing as, I'm going to butcher this name, I think it's Ashurbanipal of Assyria.
Okay. I can't correct you, and I'm not going to do the research.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, we're going to go with Ashurbanipal. And me, as him, his leader ability, you know, every civilization has their own kind of unique ability in that game. His ability is when you conquer a city, you get a free technology from the city's owner.
Wow. So you just like go around conquering people and getting more and more and more technology.
Right. Well, so except the problem becomes once you get out in front of everyone, what technologies can you get? If you conquer their cities, you don't get anything for it. You're ahead of them in science.
Oh, good point.
Yeah, so that becomes kind of a weird situation. And enter Enrico Dandolo of Venice, the biggest jerk in all of civilization.
Bigger jerk than Gandhi.
Gandhi is a jerk in a specific way that everyone, well, at least I know about now at this point, right? I guess anyone who doesn't know Gandhi in the Civilization games, despite being a, you know, theoretically very peaceful man, is very prone to using nuclear weapons. It's a joke at this point. It's a joke at this point, though. The original, I've heard the story of how that originally happened, Andrew. It was due to an underflow error in the Civilization AI.
It was at Civ 2 that happened in?
I want to say it's Civ 2, yeah. And basically, they had Gandhi's aggression rating set to 0. He would never try and be aggressive. But if you applied a modifier to his aggression to make him less aggressive, it underflowed and he went to the top of the list, right? And he was the most aggressive. You know, it could only go from 0 to 255, and you set it below 0, so it went back around to 254 or whatever, and now he was the most murderous person possible. And so now they keep it that way just for laughs. Because it's funny. Oh, it is funny.
It is funny.
Yeah. Anyway, Enrico, Venice, for those who don't know, in Civ 5, Venice's ability is really weird. You can't build settlers.
Huh.
Yes, it's a very different kind of game because you aren't allowed to settle other cities. But the one thing you can do is instead of great merchants, which are these guys that you can take who will, you know, get you a lot of gold in most cases, you get these merchants of Venice, which you can send to city-states and turn them into puppet cities.
Oh, so you could just, like, take over cities.
City-states, right? So
right.
Not full civilizations cities, which you can take over normally with, you know, war, but you can take over the little countries, you know, that exist out there, you know, like Luxembourg or, you know, these kind of little tiny principality areas that are the size of, like, you know, one small city. So Venice works by making good deals with all of the city-states and then walking in and taking all of them over and turning them into its own state.
Nice.
This guy is a jerk, Andrew, forever. Because, you know, I've expanded my empire out a little bit. You know, I'm probably in the 1800s at this point in the game. Either I'm on good terms with or I have taken over all of my enemies in the little landmass that I'm on, right? But except for the city-states, because all the city-states provide you useful things, right? If you become friends with a city-state, you get little bonuses to your empire. It's like, oh, well, if I become friends with Singapore over here, I can get bonus food sent to my capital so that my people will prosper, or they'll give me some extra gold, or they'll let me use this iron, and then I can use the iron to build more units or whatever. So these are great bonuses in some cases that you can get from these little places. But Enrico comes in, he's like, oh, no. These people are all my cities now. He walks his little merchants over there, and he takes them over. Now they're his cities. I don't get anything from them anymore because they're his. It's the worst. The literal worst. Oh my god, I want to start. So at one point, I noticed he was going for one of the ones that was like closest to my civilization, and I'd had great relations with for forever. They were providing me all this extra food to my capital. Really good. Help, you know, grow my population, get more people out there, do the things that I need to do. And I saw his little merchant guy walking across the map. And I'm like, all right, I see it now. I see it coming from far enough away. I know what he's going here. This has to be what he's going to do. I have a plan. So I took a bunch of my units and I made a blockade around the city and literally built a wall of people around the city so he couldn't get in.
Oh my gosh.
It worked for like 10 or 15 turns until he was able to get around by sea. I didn't have enough ships to blockade the coast too.
Oh no.
Yeah. Very sad. And then my friends went away.
Oh man. You know that you've like probably sent me into a Civ 5 spiral now, hearing you talk about it.
But it's so good, Andrew.
Oh my gosh. We have to finish Diablo.
And do you know what else came out today? I didn't know if we should bring this up.
Oh, JJ. You know, I know what came out today, and we would be remiss if we did not talk about it because it's sitting here on my desk waiting for after this podcast. Overwatch. It's ready. It's time.
I know.
What is the quote? Are you ready for your watch to begin or something like that? Hold on, I'm going to open.
I don't know.
We're going to hear it. You can hear the Velcro of the front of my Origins edition open right there.
Oh my god.
It's Are You With Us? The world needs heroes. Yeah, it's pretty great.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Hey, did you get to play much during the beta?
I didn't, but you know, we've played it before. Yeah, I think it looks like there's going to be a decent number of people playing.
Yeah, the streaming numbers are nuts. I thought they were nuts during the beta, and the amount of people that are out watching and streaming it right now is just insane. I don't know if it's going to hold up to games like Counter-Strike or other things. Oh God, we almost did it again. What's Overwatch, JJ?
Oh, Overwatch, Andrew, is a Team Fortress 2 style first-person shooter made by Blizzard.
So it's kind of in the vein of Counter-Strike or Team Fortress. You have a team of people that...
I really think it does it a disservice to compare it to Counter-Strike. It's not Counter-Strike.
I agree, but some people only know, certain shooters.
Sure. It is a class-based shooter.
Yes, definitely.
They call them heroes, but I think it is probably fair to say that they function as classes, basically. And they divide them into sort of roles. But the game is not a MOBA. It's not like, it's not like Dota or League of Legends or anything like that. It's its own, it's just a shooter. You have respawns, you die, you spawn again, you shoot people some more. But all of the maps, I think it's true that all the maps are objectives. There's no just deathmatch.
There is a deathmatch type thing, but it's only for when you are stuck between matches. So like, let's say you're in a 4 group and you need a 5th and you're having trouble finding it. They will put you into like an infinite deathmatch where you just have players running around shooting each other for no objective and there's no end to it, just to kind of keep people entertained.
So the real matches anyway are all objective based. So your kill death ratio doesn't matter. You getting sniped by some guy is not going to lose your team the game. Right.
Yeah, you have to push a cart, or you have to hold an objective, or you have to plant a bomb or what, I don't know. There's all sorts of different ones that you have to do, and you have to do both sides of them. So like if you have to get to a certain point on the map, you have to attack into that point, or later you have to defend from people attacking into that point, so that you get both sides of it. See what's fair. But it's pretty cool. I don't know. Have you seen the videos? One of the real things that's gonna, I think, impress a lot of people like me that are not going to play this super competitively, but still dragged me into the game and made me very, very interested in it, is that it began life as a different game. So there's a lot of elements and story background in this game that is just going to get fleshed out to the T. And I don't know if you saw, they put out a bunch of like fully animated, almost Pixar class videos for this game in the last couple of weeks.
I have seen some of those. I don't know if I've seen all of them.
What do you think?
I mean, it's good. I think I knew a lot of this story just from, we've been to BlizzCon and seen sort of, heard and listened to them talk about this game for a while. But I mean, it's good. The standard complaint I think I have about everything is that Blizzard's writing is extremely predictable.
Okay.
Sort of some of the revelations I think that come as, or things that are supposed to be revelations, unclear, I guess, maybe if they actually are or not. Seems like you could see them coming from 100 miles away if you are paying even the slightest amount of attention. But I think that's true about all storytelling that Blizzard does.
Sure.
So that's not really any different here than I have that same complaint with StarCraft. You have the same complaint with Diablo. You have the same complaint with every single game they make.
I think one of the cool things about Overwatch in that instance is that the story is over with, right? They're just sort of revealing it as they go. Mm-hmm. So there's not a huge amount of like...
It's not like there's a single player campaign here.
No, there's no campaign for to be spoiled. Haha.
Yeah.
Because it's all happened. Everything's in the past, and now you're playing a game.
Yeah, I mean, learning about the characters is cool.
I can say both of us have not put in enough time to give the thumbs up, thumbs down on whether it's worth your time, but I think it may be. We'll revisit next week.
Yeah, hopefully we'll get to play some of it in here between then and now, and we'll have something to say about it.
Civ 5 for sure is worth your time. Doesn't matter how much you have.
Yeah. Everyone should play Civ 5. That game is great.
Oh, man. The changes in 6 are going to be crazy, but I think now I'm going to have to go play Civ 5 again. It's so good. JJ, while I was on the road to Arizona when not driving or once I got back, etc., I killed a little bit of time watching some pre-streams of Total War Warhammer.
Oh, yes.
Because of our discussion last week. Have you seen any game footage from that game?
I think I've only seen trailers. I don't think I've seen actual in-game footage. I know what Total War games look like. Does this look like that?
So reskin it with the entirety of the flavor of every single faction in Warhammer.
That's pretty cool.
Oh man, it was like watching the tabletop game alive. And like I've liked the Total War series, but watching these guys play it right now, I'm looking at it like, oh man, I almost don't want to get rid of those models. It's so cool.
Does it play like Warhammer or does it play like Total War? Because the Total War games are, sort of real-time strategy kinds of things where you're maneuvering groups of units around the field. It's an RTS, right? Yeah,
so there's two action points to Total War games, and there's the overarching campaign map, which is a turn-based move things around. Civ or
sort of like risk diplomacy,
all that stuff put together with like some Civ elements of needing to like maintain order and fight chaos in your cities
supplies
and things like that. Yeah,
that kind of stuff.
And then there's the battle system, which is real time armies attacking each other, and that's all the same in this game as it has been in every Total War game so far. But just watching like the Empire steam tanks running through enemy units was just so rewarding.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think it looks pretty cool.
Oh my gosh. It's like, it makes you just wish that they would do, like, I don't know. I connected to it so instantly. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, we had a giant discussion about Warhammer on the last podcast. People can listen to us gush about how much we loved the tabletop game.
Yeah.
And it looks like they did a good job of translating that to a computer game or a dissimilar kind of, not a turn-based, moving models around a table thing. They put it on a screen.
I was excited that they were making something like that, and that it was, they've done a bunch of 40K games and they mostly get the flavor right, and they're in that vein, but they're a little cartoony and they're kind of forgettable. There's no real deep connection there, you know what I mean? But watching this and thinking beforehand, I was like, that's cool. I'll get maybe to play that eventually. I think that would be near my list of things that I would want to obtain and try. Watching people stream it for a couple hours total, it has become like, oh my gosh, I must put my hands on that and try it out, because it would alleviate any desire I have to put these models back together and put them out there.
So there's a selfish reason too.
Right? I mean, it's kind of like realize that the tabletop thing, while cool, they will never move and sound like this. This is the best part of it.
Mm-hmm.
And the graphics just look great. You could zoom all the way in on everything, and they just look like exactly like the models that in life, you know?
Yeah, it's cool. I'm looking forward to trying it out. I don't know when that will be necessarily, but I think I'll play it at some point.
Did you see the thing that Ken posted on Facebook?
Yeah, it looks cool.
A drinking horn?
Oh man, again, more drinking horns?
More drinking horns. And like 3 other huge metal things. Like there's a ring and a whole bunch of other stuff that comes with it. And it's gigantic. It's like the size of your entire arm. I don't have any place for it, thankfully.
Yeah, that just seems like stuff that would end up collecting dust somewhere around my house.
Well, and luckily I already have a drinking horn.
Right.
Otherwise I could justify it, but... Okay, but I haven't put my hands on it and played it, so...
Yeah, same. I have not played any of it.
All I can say is what I saw streamed. Let's get out of here and play some more Diablo or Civ 5.
Yeah. Well, maybe we'll play some Overwatch.
Ooh, I'm ready.
Well, we'll go play something, Andrew. Oh, can you tell all the people the places that they can contact us?
I think we should definitely let people know that we have a Twitter at We Were Gamers, a Facebook at We Were Gamers, an email address, which is podcast@weweregamers.com, and even a website, kind of, that's almost done, maybe?
I don't know. The website's there.
Yeah, I mean, it's online, and you can even listen to the podcasts on there at weweregamers.com, and if you need a podcast, you go to weweregamers.com/podcast. And you can even look at pictures of things on Instagram that we post, like my wonderful Overwatch box.
That's pretty cool.
News. We are on Google Play and iTunes.
That's correct. Yeah, we are on now both Google Play's music podcast thing. I don't know what that store is called. I want to say Google Play Music, but I don't know that that's actually right. Anyway, we're in the Google Play store somewhere. They totally told me that. So I believe them. And
I know for a fact we're on iTunes and good to go there. So
yeah, you
can subscribe through RSS on the website. You could listen through one of those venues, or tell us that we need to add another service, which would mean you'd have to contact us at one of those places we mentioned.
Yes, please contact us if you want us to get the podcast in other places. We'd be happy to do so. We just need to know where people want to hear it. It is worth noting that the iTunes and Google stores update a little bit slower than if you want the quickest, most up-to-the-minute podcast updates, whenever we post them on Wednesdays, I guess, you would need to subscribe on our website. The other ones end up, a few hours behind, or potentially a day sometimes. I don't know. Depends on when their robots decide to look.
All right, let's not beat a dead horse. Let's get out of here. And...
Beat that dead horse.
Oh, that's a terrible phrase. I'm not going to say that again.
You don't think... What's that Russian book that it comes from?
I don't know, but I said it out loud and it sounds terrible. I can't recall.
There's literally a scene in this novel. It's by a Russian guy. Dostoevsky, maybe? Where these people are beating a dead horse. That's where that phrase comes from.
Oh. Well, I don't think it makes it any better.
No, probably not.
I mean, there's other words out there, like belaboring the point.
Which we have done a lot of at this point.
Yeah. We should just get out of here and go play Overwatch.
Okay, that sounds good.
All right. This is We Were Gamers. I'm Andrew.
And I'm JJ.
And that was a podcast.